Hey everybody, what's up? This is Lydia here for Beat Your Anxiety and BuildYourselfInside.com. And I think this is recording now. So let me double check here. Okay, I think we're alive. Apologies for the little bit of tardiness this morning. Still trying to figure out this Facebook Live stuff. So anyway, I think we're recording now. So I want to welcome you all to this page again. Once again, for those of you who don't know me or you're just tuning in, uh, my name is Lydia Catherine, and I'm a board certified hypnotist over in Virginia where I practice out of. And this is a topic that came up for me and continues to come up in sessions when I have clients come in for things like weight loss and um, oftentimes, and this is something that I've also struggled with in the past, is, consistency. Like, why can't I be consistent? Why sometimes am I making good decisions? Some days I'm making good decisions, and other days that I'm not. Like, why am I not being consistent with myself? And so, I bring up this topic of discipline because they had a good week and ended up going into bad habits over the weekend. And I was really curious about what was coming up for them. And I'm just trying to get rid of these pop-ups. So, oftentimes what I hear and something I thought was the issue in the past when it came to eating healthy and making healthier decisions consistently was that I didn't have enough discipline. I didn't have enough discipline or I didn't have enough willpower. And the reason why neither of these things work in the long run, let's start with willpower. So, first of all, willpower always eventually runs out. So, if you're relying on willpower, then you will not be consistent, right? You will not be consistent because willpower is fueled by the amount of sleep that we get and the amount of glucose in our bloodstream. And so typically by the end of the day, if we're relying on willpower to make decisions for us, right? If we're going to put the responsibility on willpower to make proper, healthier decisions, then we're always going to end up giving our power away. We're always going to end up changing our behaviors later in the evening when we get tired, right? And, and so that contributes to the lack of consistency, right? Being able to be consistent because uh, decisions are being put off and scapegoated, right? To willpower. And now let's talk about this theme of discipline, right? I don't have enough discipline. Well, what the heck is discipline, right? Because when I think of discipline, I think of when I was a kid. My parents, my mom, my dad had to discipline me, right? They had to, sort of browbeat me, right? Like beat myself up, discipline, right? If you don't finish your dinner or you don't clean your room, you don't get dessert or you don't get that new toy. You're not going to go to that birthday party tomorrow. That's discipline, right? You're disciplining. You typically discipline like a child, right? And so a lot of adults end up carrying this into their adulthood and they think, well, in order to get myself to do the things that I needed to do when I was a kid, I was disciplined. And so it's this thing of discipline that is what we're supposed to carry into our adulthood, and we have to browbeat ourselves to do the things that we really think that we ought to and want to do. And can you see why this doesn't create consistency when it comes to our decision making? Right? Like, who wants to discipline themselves? Who wants to browbeat themselves? Who wants to punish themselves? Like, discipline to me sounds like a punishment. It doesn't feel good. Like who feels good about disciplining themselves? Nobody. And so of course you're going to have these tides, you're going to have these periods of like high discipline, right? Browbeating yourself, beating yourself up, and then there's going to be times I just don't want to do it anymore because it doesn't feel good. And that's what creates this instability when it comes to making healthier decisions. So, really pay attention here. What I want you to take away from this, this may be the first and last time that you hear this, right? Because when it comes to making consistent, healthy decisions for ourselves, and that's really what permanent weight loss comes down to, is consistently making better decisions for ourselves, right? It's not about browbeating yourself. It's not about making yourself wrong because you didn't make the best decision, which is typically the route people go. And this is why weight is not consistent. This is why healthier decisions are not consistent, because there's this punishment and reward system when it comes to food. So what is the solution for this then? What is the solution? If it's not disciplining myself, punishing myself, rewarding myself, dangling the carrot on the end of the stick, so to speak, right? Then what is next? What is left? When you start to take ownership, when you start to take responsibility back, and you stop using discipline and willpower as a scapegoat. You stop blaming, I don't have enough discipline and willpower. Well, discipline and willpower don't even exist. They're not even real. They're just concepts and ideas. So you're giving your power away to a concept, to an idea, right? And maybe this worked when you were a kid, but your parents punished you and disciplined you. And of course that's going to work, right? Because punishing and disciplining creates an effect of anxiety and a threat on the nervous system. So of course a child's going to respond probably how the parents or the adults in the situation want them to. But is that how you want to treat yourself? Do you want to browbeat? Do you want to punish yourself, discipline yourself? To me, this didn't feel good. This never worked out in the long run. And so, I asked this client last week, well, what do you think is missing so that you can be consistent? What's missing? That's really the question here, is what is missing so that you can start creating better decisions on a regular basis? What are you not connected to? Because think about it, there are people out there doing this already. There's people out there who are making pretty much consistent decisions, right? And when I say consistent, like 90% of the time, they're hitting their goal. And so what's the difference between you and these people who are out there with this habit of making healthier decisions for themselves and doing that 90% of the time? That's really the question here, is what has not come online yet? What has not come online yet so that you can start to create more consistency when it comes to making healthier decisions for yourself? And what ended up surfacing out of the session was self-trust. Self-trust is what had not come online yet for this client. Was the ability to be able to trust that they're going to follow through. If you're struggling with if you're one of these people out there who are saying, I need to be more disciplined, what's missing is discipline, then here's what is missing, is what has not come online yet, and where there is not enough awareness around yet, which can start to build right now as you're listening to this video, is what is your ability to lead yourself, to be able to trust in yourself that you're going to follow through, that you're going to go to that party, right, or go to that barbecue or cookout and stick to your goals. Or you're going to go through the holidays, right, and you're going to stick to your goals. Like we're talking 90% of the time here. Not perfect. Our perfect is not our goal here. But 90% of the time, you're making decisions that feel good, that feel right, that are in alignment with you. Think about this right now. If you knew that every time you made a promise to yourself and you broke it, that it would start to begin to poke holes in your self-esteem and in your self-image and how you feel about yourself when you look in the mirror, would you continue to break those promises? Would you continue to make this decision, right? The answer is probably no. In fact, this is really what ends up coming out of sessions with weight loss clients is if you knew that you were going to look in yourself, you were going to look at yourself in the mirror and feel disappointed after the decision, would you still make it? Most likely the answer is no. And this is what you get to really start to tap into and pay attention to now, is that discipline is not the answer here. It's about paying attention to how you feel, because how you feel is what is consistent. The fact that there's always a feeling there surrounding a decision is what is consistent. And if you begin to pay attention to how you feel about every decision that you make, especially when it comes to what you're going to put in your body, your eating decisions. If you knew you were going to have to look in the mirror and feel disappointed, would you still make that decision? Things start to change on an unconscious level when you start to bring awareness, when you start to shine a spotlight on this. That it's not about discipline, it's not about willpower, it's not about having accountability. It's not about accountability at all. When you bring total and complete responsibility to yourself and realize that there are consequences with every decision, you don't need discipline anymore. You don't need willpower. And that's really what hypnosis is about. It's not about browbeating and discipline. What hypnosis allows us to do is to begin to change the way our decision-making strategies and coming from a place of what we really want for ourselves, deep down. Not what tastes good in the moment, not what's exciting in the moment, not what people say feels good in the moment. It never feels good to disappoint yourself. It never feels good to disappoint yourself. And when you start to shine a spotlight on this and you start to pay attention to how you feel with all of your decisions, it won't be about willpower. It won't be about discipline. You won't need those things anymore, because the people you look at who are coming off like they're disciplined, maybe you have that one friend who's like so disciplined, right? Who what you would label as disciplined. It's not that they have more discipline. It's that they're in tune with the consequences. They're in tune with how they feel after and during the decision-making process. They understand, they're connected to how they're going to feel after making this decision, if they make this decision. And when you start to pay attention to this, again, you don't need willpower or more accountability or discipline, because when you're an adult, it's not about disciplining yourself anymore. Like I said, your parents had to discipline you when you were a kid. Well, you're not a kid anymore. And these strategies are not going to work in the long run. So I'm going to give you a technique here that you can take with you so you can start to create more consistency in your life without needing discipline, without needing willpower. You will not need either of these things without accountability. So here it is. Pay attention. Take notes. What I have my clients do in order to build up the self-trust, because that's what's missing here, is can I trust that I'm going to follow through? Can I trust in myself? Do I believe myself? Do I believe myself when I say I'm going to make a healthy decision today? Is really what it comes down to, your integrity. One of the 6 pillars of self-esteem by Nathaniel Branden. Go check out that book. Great book. So here's the technique. Here's what you're going to want to do. Get a scheduling book like this. scheduling book, written one, not an iCalendar, not a Google Calendar, not an Outlook calendar. And you're going to put all of your tasks and all of the things that you want to complete for the week in here. And I suggest getting a calendar book, where you actually have room to write. You see how each day is broken up here, and you can fit in multiple things in one day. Don't get the calendars that just have boxes. It's not enough room, typically, right? Especially if you're running a business, especially if you're a parent. Those little calendars with just boxes, it's not enough room to write everything. So get a calendar book, a written one where you actually have to write down. And as you go through your day, as you complete these tasks, you're going to cross them off and you're going to check them off. You're going to cross them off. You're going to cross them off. You're going to check them off. You can do both, or you can do one or the other. Because pay attention to how good does it feel when you check something off, when you check something off of your to-do list, when you cross it off. What is that feeling like? It feels great, right? It feels amazing. It feels like I accomplished something. I did what I set out to do. I made a promise to myself and I followed through. And that's what you're sub-communicating. That's what you're training yourself to do, is I set up a task and I cross it off. And I write down a task and I cross it off and I check it off. And you're literally building. This is such an easy way to build self-trust, integrity, and confidence within yourself. It's such an easy way. This is not as hard as people think it is. This was a technique I got out of a book a long time ago, and I can't quite remember what it is, but I will try and find that book. If you're interested in knowing what that book is, let me know and I'll go do some research and find it. But I've been doing this literally for about five years, and it becomes an addiction to follow through on things. It becomes addicting to want to cross things off because that feeling is so good to check things off your to-do list. So if you have any questions about this, post this video below. I know I kind of talked about this pretty quickly in this segment. But there is the comment option underneath, or, if this is helpful, let me know. If you get started on this, get started on this. If you're struggling with self-trust, with your integrity, with following through, you think you don't have enough discipline or willpower, this is for you. Do not hesitate. Get started on this now, today. Go get a book. They have a ton of these cute little books at, this is cute. I got it at Target, and get one that you enjoy. And has to be paper, no electronic calendars here. So start to do this. You're going to start to notice changes pretty quickly, because again, what we're talking about is rewiring your nervous system and training that training your body that you're going to put something down, you're going to set a goal, and you're going to follow through. And you're going to set a goal and you're going to follow through. And you're going to set a goal and you're going to follow through. And this is really the key to really building our honesty with ourselves. And again, our self-trust, our integrity, our confidence, all of these things are built with just this one technique alone. So take it with you. I'm really excited to hear about your results with this. I know my clients are already doing this, and they're still keeping it up, right? Because what you're training yourself to do is also follow through on doing this, right? So, sure, Seth, you're a business owner, right? Like you don't survive without a scheduling book. You can't survive without a calendar, right? But it's just not enough to have an electronic calendar. Get a paper one, and you can sync them both. I keep an electronic calendar and I keep a paper one, and I just keep them in sync. So the great thing about the electronic one, right, is that we get the dings, we get the alerts for, hey, a meeting's starting in 5 minutes, which is great. Keep that. But just get this solely for the reason that you're going to check things off and it's going to feel good, and you're going to cross things off and it's going to feel, get this just for that purpose. And it doesn't take long to start seeing results. This was a game changer for me. I know every time I put something down on paper, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And if I don't get around to it if I don't get around to it today, I'm going to get around to it on Friday or Thursday or Wednesday. The key here is to be honest with yourself about what what you're capable of each day, right? Like make sure you're scheduling things out in a way that feels good. You're not overwhelming yourself. So, I hope this is helpful. If you do this, let me know how it goes. I'm so excited to hear about the results you get from this because it's just amazing. It's not as hard as you think to build confidence and trust in yourself. It's not that hard. There's simple techniques and strategies, and I'm going to give you more. As we truck along here on this page, like I said, always let me know what you want to see, what you want to hear, what you want to learn, and that's what I'm here to deliver, especially when it comes to, beating and overcoming and reducing or eliminating your anxiety. So this is Lydia here for Beat Your Anxiety. Everybody have a great rest of your week.